Well, should we get started, Joni?
Yes, let's get started.
Great. I am Monica Smith. I'm one of the co-creators of Revel 11, along with Joni Parsons there.
Hi, everyone. Welcome.
And we started Revel 11 5 years ago now. We obviously pivoted to an online platform at the beginning of COVID, which has just been such a joy because it really changed the nature of our organization, that we have a larger audience that's more global and that we can do a lot more events than our old in-person events. But yesterday we had our first in-person event since the beginning of COVID. Today is day 3 of our week-long Aging Well series that we're partnering with Leisure Care on. And so we had our event at their new beautiful facility in Seattle. And it was just so fun to be with community again.
It was so nice to see everyone and to look at one another in the eye, and it was so refreshing.
So Audacious Living at All Ages. That's the title for our event today. I'm curious what that means to you, if you want to put it in the chat. And does the desire to live audaciously change with age? I admit I Googled the definition of the word. And if I use the definition of to be daring, I suppose that it has changed for me over the years. I don't necessarily have the same desire to jump out of an airplane like I used to. But I do dare myself a lot to try new things and to get out of my comfort zone a bit, like hosting these events. I get nervous every single time. And I don't think that's ever going to change. And I don't think that has or will change for these 3 amazing women who we'll be talking to today. But even having a strong desire to live life as fully as possible, it's still so easy for me anyway to fall into a rut of same old, same old. And I know that there are strong attributes of consistency and routine. I mean, there are aspects of the COVID isolation that I miss because there were so many more opportunities to stay grounded. But I also know that every once in a while, I need just a little nudge to remind myself that life is short and I want to be a lifelong learner, an adventurer. Check out my calendar. Can you see that? A friend in the audience.
One of my favorite words there.
Exactly.
Actually, I'm not sure if everyone saw that, Monica. Mine kind of blurred a little bit, so you might want to put that up just one more time.
Can you see it now?
Yes, do epic, you know what.
Oh, yes.
So I just need a little nudge to remind myself that life is short. So we wanted this to be an event where it's a reminder that life is full of opportunities to continue learning, to continue being inspired, and to aim for a full life, whatever that means to your particular situation or place in life. It's going to be different for all of us, and there's no right or wrong. So long story short, what I realized is this effort to live life fully never ends. Duh. But maybe we need constant reminders like my calendar and tools to live life as joyfully as possible. And that's what we're going to talk about with these 3 fabulous women. I'm so excited. Thank you so much for joining us. And Rosanne, why don't you start with a few minutes about you, what state you're joining us from, how long ago you retired, if you consider yourself retired, and what you mostly do with your time now.
That's a big package.
Yes, it is.
I live in a retirement community called Trilogy out in East Redmond. And we live in our individual homes. So we have our own homes to take care of and to retreat to when we need some quiet time. And I truly do enjoy it. I retired, I can't even remember when. I think I semi-retired when I got married for the second time. So that was probably 20 years ago. I'm going to be 88 in January. So I have to admit, I never considered myself retired because I've always been looking for the next project. I do wake up every morning reminding myself to find what my purpose is, because I just lost a very dear friend a couple of days ago, having lost two sisters. I mean, I just think we have to know that we're here for a reason and figure out what the reason is and go for it. And that's pretty much what I do every day. Granted, we've had so many restrictions now because of the pandemic, and especially with my age. Not that I feel my age, but my daughter, who's a nurse practitioner with Kaiser, keeps reminding me, you got to be careful these days. There's stuff out there and we don't want you to get sick. So I have to admit some caution that way. Otherwise, I think we have to do whatever our energy level allows us to do. And we have to determine that on a personal basis. And that's pretty much where I'm going. I am deeply involved in trying to figure out how to publish the 4th edition of my book, which I know you guys included in some of the bio, Discover Washington with Kids. And that's something that I regard as a very high purpose. As I said, it's the 4th edition. So that's really basically what I'm looking to do, and to enjoy my family, because I have a great granddaughter coming in April. And let me tell you, that is something that makes you get up in the morning feeling really good about.
Yeah, thank you for that. Martha, how about you? Do you want me to repeat the question?
Well, you asked if we just give a little bio, who we are and what we're doing. And so I live in a small community outside of Ann Arbor, Michigan. And I have a little house and I'm on 2 acres. So I've been able to really enjoy gardening, and that's been something. The weather's closing in a bit now, but still able to get out and find things to do outside. And I retired in 2006, not because I wanted to necessarily, but I was given the option where I was working to take on a lot of additional work and take a big pay cut or leave. And I was past the retirement age, so leaving was sort of an easy choice. So I have the garden, I have the house, I volunteer, I play bridge, and one of the things that COVID has done has brought me together with 3 other friends to play bridge online for a couple of hours almost every day. And we've been doing that for 2 years. So we think we've seen everything, but we know we haven't seen anything yet.
Oh, I love it. I was just telling Joni this morning that I am learning bridge. I'm going to learn bridge.
Yay.
And she agreed that she is also going to learn bridge so we can play together. And I'm so excited.
Well, put that together with daughter Cindy, because she and we spent a lot of time over Thanksgiving playing bridge. So
okay, Cindy, there you go.
So I've been able to return to some of the volunteering that I did. I am a member of an Ann Arbor thrift shop where it's run by women. We have no paid staff. It's been around for 83 years. And we sell t-shirts for $3, jeans for $4, and we're able to give between $20,000 and $25,000 a month back to the community through social service organizations. So I feel really good about that. That's a big sorority and a good time for all. And I guess following up on one of the things Rosanne said, that as far as every day is concerned, my motto has been to not live one day at a time. I plan ahead, I'm doing things. I'm leaving this community after 55 years to take up residence in North Carolina, where my son lives. And I'm looking forward to all of that, although packing is a scary thing.
I love that motto, and it's unexpected, you know, like you hear so many people just saying live one day at a time. So that's fantastic. Assunta, how about you?
I'm Assunta Ng, and I'm publisher of the Northwest Asian Weekly and Seattle Chinese Post. I've been doing this for close to 40 years, and I have a staff of 16 full-time and part-time. So I'm not retiring, and I don't see myself retiring soon. Especially during the pandemic, I think it's important for the community to have a newspaper to keep them informed. And then guess what? The anti-Asian hate crimes occur. It's more important and more relevant than ever to have our newspaper to inform the community about all these things going on and warn many of the seniors who don't really know what's going on. You know, the immigrant seniors, non-English speaking. Because we have two newspapers, the Chinese Post in Chinese language and the Asian Weekly in English. It's an ethnic community newspapers. During the pandemic, everything shut down, and I was so afraid that our newspaper would be shut down too, because we're not allowed to go out to cover that much things going on in the community. And then I was afraid for my staff, because if they went out and they got COVID, then I would be blamed and I would not forgive myself forever. But it happened that when COVID started, guess what happened? We have Zoom. So our freelance writers were more than happy to cover through Zoom meetings and Zoom events, because we don't pay our writers enough. But with Zoom, you cut down a lot of travel time, and they can do whenever they want to cover, because it's already recorded. So it really worked out well for our newspapers. We have been asking our people to work at home. So then I save a lot of time not having to manage the operation. And every day, you know, I try to really feel good about myself and my work. And I've been keeping myself very busy during the pandemic. Of course, there are some up and down days in my life, and sometimes I got up and say, why is the pandemic happening? But pretty soon, I told myself, get up, get going, because no use to feel sorry for yourself. The best thing is to do something about when you are depressed. So I got up out of bed, and then my day would start really busy, because like today is my press day. So right after this, we will go to press. So early in the morning, I get up and, you know, take care of all the layout. You know, I don't have to do the layout, but my staff did everything, and I checked everything this morning already. So this Friday, I will be one of the committee members organizing a dinner celebrating the victory of the first Asian American mayor in Seattle. So I'm so proud that I'm part of this organizing committee. So there'll be over 400 people coming to the dinner in Chinatown International District. So the pandemic also gave us a lot of opportunities, even though there are a lot of, you know, tragedies happening with so many people dying and all that. But it does help me to put everything in perspective. And gratitude is a big part of my life. And every morning I get up and just feel grateful that I'm alive, because there are people who don't have parents, who don't have brothers and sisters or their children because of COVID. So I'm grateful of the fact that my family is fine, I am fine, my employees are fine. So what else do I ask for? And I have a purpose every week, every month, right? So I'm feel very, very blessed, and my employees have jobs. You know, they don't have to go to the unemployment lines to get them. And because of COVID, we got many advertisements. Before the COVID, our newspaper were not doing well because, you know, people are going online a lot more and young people are not reading the newspaper that much. But because of COVID, we have more advertisement from the state, from the federal, from the city, from the county. Every advertisement they give has to deal with COVID, you know, how they should get vaccinated, what kind, and so forth. And last year, remember the census? The census was delayed because of COVID. So whenever they delay, they give us advertisement. So
yeah, there've definitely been pros and cons to this. I do really love what you said about gratitude though, and having gratitude every day.
No, everything has a silver lining. All you have to do is to look for that lining. And it's not that hard to find it. Most of the times I found it and I turn obstacles into opportunities. I turn a disadvantage into an advantage. So for instance, you know, when people last year, they email me and say, hey, I know you're not doing well, you know, some of my customer, what can I do to help you? And this guy is from the Metropolitan Chamber of Commerce. And it was so kind of him to ask me how we are doing. And then he said, how can we help? And through the email, I immediately thought, you can sponsor our special business issue. Did I have a business issue at that time? No, I don't. But because of his email, all of a sudden, I told him we have this business issue coming up and we need $2,000 sponsorship. And
finding opportunities, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, we were talking earlier about resilience as well and the importance of resilience. But I really, again, going back to that gratitude point, I just think that's so important. And I'm curious, Martha, what is something that you do every day that you think lends itself to a life of fulfillment?
Well, I think, you know, going back to my talking about gardening and about being out and about, and it is so easy to find something in nature every day that brings me joy and makes me appreciate what's around me. And just being able to notice things from a different perspective, that the world is really a wide place and there's so much in it. Years ago, I think I was moaning and groaning about how dull the landscape was in the wintertime here, how boring and just ugly. And they said, no, look, there are so many different shades of brown. There are so many different shades of gray out there. Take the time to notice the landscape. Take a time to just look and see at the texture on things, which ordinarily you might not notice, but if you spend a few minutes every day just looking around you and looking at the world and looking at the earth and what nature has to provide, that's something that not a day goes by that I don't see something and stop and think how wonderful it is.
Oh, I just love that. That's beautiful. It was yesterday in the in-person event, we had a therapist talking to us, and she gave some pretty remarkable statistics about depression and older adults. And there seemed to be a consensus amongst all of the experts on the panel about finding beauty in life. And you just described that so well, that there is beauty in so many things. And I know for me, nature is one of those things that I most commonly find beauty. Yeah.
I agree.
I know this is a tough question, but Rosanne, why don't we go with you? What are some of the most important lessons you've learned over the years?
Well, one of the most important to me is to get up and find some time to exercise. I have found that exercise is so prominent in what I need to do, because it not only keeps me feeling good, but I also get out, I go to the club, I walk, there's socialization in it, because while living in a community like this there's a very safe feeling about it, you also have to guard against isolation a lot. And that's true, I think, for all of us that do live alone, that have lost a partner, whatever. And I rely on exercise as one of the most important parts of my day. And I find that because I do that, it really, it has an emotional component as well. I feel better. I feel better for numerous reasons, and I'm grateful that it's something I can do. So that's definitely one of my priorities every day.
Fantastic.
And the other is
I
keeping
completely
in touch
agree.
with friends.
Say that again?
The other is keeping in touch with friends that I don't see from time to time. But I think that being aware of what's happening in other people's lives and being able to support them, even if it's only by a phone call, is, I mean, I can go any place and do anything I want. I am a very fortunate person. That's not true of everybody. And I just think staying in touch with friends is a very important thing at this stage in life.
Supposedly, it's also very good for your brain.
That's something else I really was hoping everybody would bring up, because knowing, I now, without interjecting anything into this, but I'm going to. I have a sister 11 years younger than me who is living in assisted living with dementia. And let me tell you, that's a wake-up call, a very big one. And I look every day for what it is that's going to challenge my brain, whether it's writing or reading, or, I mean, I don't care what it is, just do it.
Or trying new things like we were talking about
Very much
earlier.
so.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Assunta, how about you? What would you say are some of the most important lessons you've learned?
Well, I echo what Rosanne said about exercising, because every morning I dance by myself, because my husband has a different set of exercise, but I dance every day with different kinds of music. You just switch on your YouTube. Today, I got very excited because I don't know what happened. The new music jumped out. It was Tina Turner. So, you know, Tina Turner was very good about shaking his legs and butts and all that. So I just did the same thing, you know. But
oh, that's so fun. I'm so tempted.
Job.
I'm so tempted to ask you to give us a demonstration.
Oh, no. Oh, you know, the other day I accidentally switched Super Bowl halftime. So they show like Beyonce dancing. So I follow, you know, and then Bruno Mars dancing. So every day my dancing pattern is different. And that's what stimulate me and motivate me to, you know, be alive. Like Roxanne said, you know, we should start our day with exercise. And then the other thing I want to emphasize is that as we age, it is very important to let go. So I used to be not able to let go. Like if my children say, I don't want to live close by to your house, then I feel I took it very personal. But it's okay. If you love your children, let them go, let them fly. So now whatever people said things about me that I don't like, I smile. It's okay, you know, because everybody has a different opinion. So as we age, we are more gracious. We are more open-minded. We said, someone said earlier, we accept new things, new ideas, and it's okay if we disagree. We don't have to agree 100%, but we respect each other and we connect with one another through other ways of doing things or hobbies. So we try to learn about ourselves every day. And during the pandemic, I actually take better care of myself. So I learned how to love myself better. My friend said, if you don't love yourself, you don't know how to love other people. It's so true. So during the pandemic, I actually learned how to do a facial myself. And it's kind of fun to do it by yourself. So learn to do new things every day, every week, every month. It's very, very stimulating.
I love that. I do find that there's something very freeing about aging, because you do seem to care less what other people think of you.
Oh, that is
Yes.
so true.
Yeah, and so Martha, I would
So
love
true.
your perspective about, like, do you feel like you've become more self-accepting?
Well, yes and no, because I feel that as Assunta said and Rosanne, criticism of me, I can just let that go. And I used to take it very, very seriously. It used to bother me tremendously. If I made a mistake, it used to bother me. And I've been able to let that go. But what I'm not very accepting of at this point is some of the limitations, the physical limitations that keep coming up, and not necessarily, I don't dance, but I did get a puppy last year. And so we walk a mile every morning and we walk a mile every afternoon. And so I do keep going that way, but things like my hands have become arthritic. And so the loss of touch, which diminishes for everyone, is something that is not making me happy. So I can't really say I'm accepting of that. But other than, letting the rest of it go, enjoying my family, enjoying my friends without being judgmental at all, has been something that I have had to learn and that I really love now. So that's been part of it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Rosanne, how about you?
Judgmental is a really key thing to learning, to being very comfortable as we age, because that can really be discouraging to the people around us.
Yeah. And you lose people if you, if you decide that your opinion is fact.
I have to add something to that too, though, because having lived in, I know this is probably true of Assunta, I have lived at times when people were extremely judgmental about who I was in terms of my religion. And I have to admit that as I've aged, I simply don't accept people into my life, into my circle, that are unkind and that are prejudiced or unkind about others. I simply don't have time for that anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm not afraid to let them know. There haven't been too many occasions when I have spoken out, but I do not accept people that are very negative or unkind.
Yes.
Where possible.
I think it's good to speak our mind. That's important. As we age, I think it's good to let people share our feelings.
Well, I certainly do in my family. I have to agree. But I also have to say, now that I have a granddaughter who is pregnant, I have learned to keep my mouth shut. If they don't ask me my opinion, I don't give it. Not
that is
anymore.
one of that I find that being one of the most rewarding things about aging is that you can choose to keep your mouth shut. Like, what are some of the other things though about like rewarding aspects of aging? Who wants to start? Rosanne, you want to start?
Well, I think having the privilege of not allowing people into your life who are toxic. I think that's really important. I don't have time for that kind of nonsense anymore. I want people around me who know how to love. That's all.
Yeah. Any others?
Just to accept people for who they are as well, and not be judgmental about people. Sometimes that's difficult, but
It is
I
difficult.
work on it.
Yeah.
Right.
Assunta, do you have anything to add to that about, like, rewarding aspects?
Oh, I think we pretty much cover,
Well,
yeah.
Okay, then let me change just slightly.
Can I add? Can I just add?
Of course.
So one of the big things for me has been having time. I no longer have to worry about getting to and from work. I don't have to worry about getting the dishes washed or the laundry done. The time that aging has given me for my pleasurable passions. I've had time to travel. I've had time to spend more time with family than I ever did before, since we're spread out all over the country. So I would say that, don't lose track of that. Don't lose the thought that at this point in our lives, we can read, we can enjoy concerts and performances and things that we really were challenged to find the time for in our earlier lives.
I want to hear from each of you, like, what you're most looking forward to right now. Rosanne?
Well, the two things, that having a great granddaughter will be great fun, but I really am very much hoping I can get my fourth book to a publisher and get that out, because that has been such a defining part of my life, and it's affected so many families that I really want that to be accomplished. That's all.
That's a great one. Martha?
Well, I'm looking forward to this move. I'm looking forward to being closer to my son and his family, and learning about a new part of the country. As I said, I've been here for over 50 years, and I certainly will miss it. I'll miss the community and the many friends that I have here, although I'm hoping lots of them will travel and come and see me. North Carolina is a lovely state too. So I'm looking forward to that. It will be a whole new way of going. So that'll be fun.
And how about you, Assunta?
Well, I really want to publish a book. I write a blog every week, but I don't have a book yet, Rosanne. You have a lot to teach me. So I don't have grandchildren either. So I look forward to have grandchildren, but we have done YouTube projects. So I want to do more YouTube projects and definitely travel. We have been to 40 countries, but I want to grow my list of countries that we want to visit. We want to visit Africa, for instance. We have not been to Africa, but now you've been coming up, so that's a concern. So there are a lot of new things that I wanted to do. I wanted to have a panel to bring together the Black and the Asian community to honor the public officials, because the Asian community and the Black community, many of the candidates have won during the last election. So we want to do a reception to honor them and bring them together so that we can learn how to work together, collaborate, and communicate better between the two groups, because there were a lot of misunderstanding during the pandemic. So this is my community work. My whole life has been trying to bring people together. And if I'm still in the publishing business, I have more opportunities to bring all groups together that can work with one another and learn from one another more.
That's a long list. Go get him, man. You're going to be busy. I love it. Well, how about looking in the rear view mirror? Are there roads you wish you would have taken or avoided? Who wants to start with that?
I'll start because I've thought about that a lot. And the one thing I learned some time ago was when you're ready to do something, the door will open. So I've learned to trust my own judgment about what it is I'm supposed to do, I'm meant to do, and what my next step will be. I honestly cannot say that I look back with any regrets. And that's really, I think, an extraordinary thing to be able to say that.
That's great. How about you, Martha?
Well, we used to have a saying of what if, and decided that saying what if was pointless. You know, you can't go backwards. You can't change what happened. And so I'm not really comfortable saying that I regret a lot. Certainly there are steps that could have gone from one place to another. They didn't. And, you know, so you just move on. And there are so many things. Like Assunta, I urge you to go to Africa. There's something magical about that continent, and whether it's setting foot on the land where Lucy started for some of us, or what there is, but it's a magical continent. Every area of it. I've been to Namibia and South Africa and Kenya and Malawi and Morocco, and there's something wonderful about it. So I urge you. My sister and I are going to London to the Chelsea Flower Show in 2022. And, you know, so going backwards, regretting, you know, coulda, shoulda, nah, it's not worth it.
I think Martha could be a great resource for travel. She has traveled the world like you wouldn't believe. It's awesome. We've had a question from the audience that I would like to tweak a little bit around starting new habits. You know, like you guys were talking earlier about the importance of exercise. And for people who are resistant to starting a new program, and it doesn't necessarily even have to be about exercise, but any tips for starting a new regimen like exercise?
Well, I need to start yoga. I had 2 days of it, and I have procrastinated, and I did contact our wellness center around here where I have a free membership because of Medicare, thanks to them. And so I'm going to start beginner's yoga even before I move. And once I do move, I'm hoping that my daughter-in-law and I can do that together. But
and do you find that it's like, is it signing up for a program that helps you start something new, you know, so that you'll stay disciplined about continuing?
Yep, you put it on your calendar so it exists.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's too easy to find something else to do with your time.
Any other tips from anyone?
Yes. You know, exercise, dancing in the morning is so natural for me that I don't need anybody to push me to do it. But I think it helps if you have a friend to partner with you. Mm-hmm. So every day you get up in the morning and your friend would call you, or you call your friend and say, are you starting now? Should we start together? And then you can do Zoom exercising together. That's one way. The other thing about procrastination, I just watched a YouTube thing the other day, and it explained very well about our brain. You know, our brain is very good about telling you to procrastinate, don't do it, you don't need to do it, you know, all kinds of negative thoughts. But here is the trick. But if you put your brain to count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, get up from your chair, get up from your bed, and this will start changing your brain, as opposed to if you don't get up, then you start thinking about other things. But start counting, and your brain will do something to make you get up. So every time you count 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just get off your chair.
That is so good. I
Hey,
love
that's
that.
great.
Because
And
can I add this? When you do that, you are changing according to the YouTube that author, Mel Robbins. She said that when you do that, you are changing your brain from an autopilot position to a decision maker. See, when you're in the autopilot position, you don't do anything. But once you get that 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you become decision maker, and then you move yourself.
well, going back to the dance thing that you were talking about earlier is very consistent with, we had a fitness expert yesterday, and he travels around the country and gives lectures about how to incorporate fitness into your life. And he was saying the number one thing you can do is figure out what is fun. Like, and dancing is so fun. I mean, for most
is.
people, but
I
just like
totally
having
agree.
fun.
Monica, it's not just the dancing, it's the music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The music, you want to move your body. And I just
Absolutely.
follow the music. Yeah.
I agree, because I often do that. I put on Alexa and let her give me some Neil Diamond or something. And you're right, it absolutely raises not just your pulse, but it enhances, you feel better. I totally agree.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
also have found that in my walking, which I really mandate, I put a treadmill in my bedroom after my husband passed away. There was then room. And so even in the bad weather, I have a place to walk, and that allows me to do a lot of meditating, self-meditating while I walk. I really do a lot of thinking, and I find it to be not only helpful, but healthy for me. It may not work for everybody, but it certainly has kept me feeling good and moving forward. And I knock on wood that so far the moving parts are allowing all of that to happen.
There was a question in the audience about loneliness. And so I'd love to change the conversation a bit to talk about community and the importance of community as you get older. And I know some of you have mentioned it.
Absolutely, absolutely critical.
And so what are some strategies to stay connected?
Pardon me?
What are some strategies that you guys have to stay connected to community?
Well, I would start with volunteering,
Right.
that, and any place in the country is in need of volunteers, whether it's from a national organization like Kiwanis or Rotary or whatever, or if it's a local organization. I've enjoyed volunteering at the Botanic Gardens here in Ann Arbor, and also for the Ann Arbor Symphony, where they, again, if putting stamps on postcards, so I think that that's a way that you can get out and about, you can meet people, and you can be of service to the community as well.
I agree. In fact, one of the things that I have found to be so frustrating is that I cannot do some of the volunteer things because they've curtailed people being able to get together.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things I began a couple of years ago was working at the hospice center up at Evergreen Hospital. And I mean, talk about rewarding. It's just neat to be able to give that kind of time away. And I hope to get back to that soon, because the community around me here is still not open enough to invite people back in for that kind of interaction.
Yeah.
So
I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get this dog of mine calm enough, whatever, to become a therapy dog so that we can go to the rehab centers and the hospitals. And I think she will be very good at that. She's a good size for it, and she loves people. So yeah.
I suppose that you could also, take exercise classes, at a gym or wherever as a way to meet people as well. I know for me, even if I don't get to know them, I still feel like I'm part of a team or a community when I do take classes. And it really does make me feel more connected to my community. There was just a great question that came in the chat directly to me.
Can I add in
one
of course.
Point? Yeah, of course.
I like the part you talk about volunteering, and I like the part you said connecting with people. So we live right where grocery store is very close to us. We have a library in our community. We have a Battelle drugstore in our community. So since the pandemic, I changed the habit of shopping for groceries once a week. Instead, my husband and I walk to the grocery store every day to buy fresh food for our dinner and our lunch. Now, during our walk, we always meet people. We always say hi to people. If you isolate yourself at home and don't see people, and that's where the loneliness inside your body. Right. Every day I went out and talked to people and just say hi, just seeing their eyes, even with the mask cover, their eyes were smiling. I know that. I noticed that. And my eyes smile back. It makes me feel good. So when I saw some people in the park, we have a little park there, and just say hi to those people. And it makes me feel so much better. It's always been part of our day to go to the grocery stores to buy our stuff. So we practice our walking at the same time, and we meet people, and always new things come up because these people we meet will tell us new things. And there were friends that we have not seen ages, and all of a sudden we saw them at the grocery stores. So
I'm so glad you shared that.
Yeah, get out, just take walks. Like Martha was saying earlier, have you noticed some of the things that have been with you all your life, but you just don't notice them? Now you notice because you take the time to appreciate. And that's what we need to do. We need to take the time to appreciate all the environmental things that have been our reach, and yet we ignore them all these years, right, Martha?
That's right. That's right. Sure. Good.
So perfect. Okay, let me read you this question. How do you deal with preconceived notion of old, and when people treat you like you might be fragile or not have value because you might be a certain age? So can you try to answer that one? Great question, by the way.
We'll start with me because I am, I guess, the oldest. I got to be honest with you. I have never had that. Maybe it's because of the way I look, the way I walk, the way I act, what I do. I have never had anybody, except my grandson, who does it because he's trying to be funny and he knows it's going to get a rise out of me. I've never had the problem, but I do know that some people give up that kind of a vibe and that they do want assistance. And I think it's great when people reach out to help, but I got to be honest, I've never had anybody do that.
Well, I will say that it can be a great benefit. I was having some problems walking, so I started using a cane. And when I was traveling, I'll tell you a funny story. I was in Paris with a friend of mine, and we went to the Louvre, and I had a cane, and we were there just the last 15 minutes that it was open, and the Mona Lisa was there in a special exhibit. So we walked up to get in line, and the fellow that was holding the ropes took a look at me, and he said, "Oh, come on. He walked me over to the front, to the handicapped section, and I was within 10 feet of the Mona Lisa, thanks to the cane." So it has great benefits at times. And I used to insist on putting my own bag up in the overhead. And now people will ask, can we help you? Sure.
Just say
So-
thank you.
Absolutely. So, but I do remember, people saying that they felt ignored or that passed by because they were older. So it can happen to people, but I think like Roseanne, and I'm sure Assunta, if you don't give off that fragility aspect,
You won't be treated like that.
right. Yeah.
Well, this has been a fabulous conversation. I could talk to you gals all day long, but we've run out of time. And so I just want to say that, we're so appreciative of your time, really.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you
This
for
was
the
fun.
opportunity. It's been fun.
You're all an inspiration.
Now, I'm glad, I haven't known Martha before, but I'm so glad to see Assunta again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I
Well-
have to say, I have smiled through this entire hour. Like, I have not stopped smiling. And thank you all for your inspiration and your stories and your love. And, Roseanne, what you said about, I just want to be around people who love, just resonated with me so much. In fact, of course, I have tears in my eyes, because that really is what life is all about, is giving love.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're all very fortunate too.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Friends and family. It's wonderful.
So
Oh,
let this be a little nudge to everyone, a little inspiration to, what was it? Count to 5, Assunta? Go do something.
Oh,
I'm-
3, 2, 1.